standing up to bullies. So you've exhausted all efforts. I mean, you've talked to these guys that have no souls. You've corresponded with them, and they probably haven't even read your stuff. They don't care, right? They know that more likely than not, an attorney doesn't want to take your case, and they're calling your bluff, right? So you're not going to do anything about it, are you? Not today. Hashtag. Now, statement of claim, right? Statement of claim. You can file a lawsuit even without printing out any documents, guys. You just walk into magistrate court. But there is a question as to where. Where? So you have to file a lawsuit where the defendant resides. Okay? The defendant, the person that hit you, where they live. Where do they live? Where do you find that? Go to the incident report. Hopefully driver one. Driver one, remember we talked about he's the at-fault person, at-fault party? Driver one, where's his address? Oh, Fulton County? By the way, how do you figure out which county? Just Google it, right? Put in his address in Google, it'll tell you which county. I like to go to USPS.com because the United States Postal Service is never wrong with respect to counties, right? It'll have like address lookup. Boom, click on it, put it in, boom, it'll tell you which county, right? So that means you go to that county, okay, walk in, and you go to the magistrate court of that county. Now, you obviously are aware that the maximum that you can be suing for is $15,000. That's the limit. $15,000 is the limit. You can't ask for more than that. The magistrate court judge does not have jurisdiction beyond that, okay? It doesn't mean you don't argue that the case is worth more. That's another hack, right? You always say that it's worth more than the $15,000, right? But the maximum you can ask for is $15,000. I'll talk about that in a little bit. So anyway, you're going to get one of these documents, okay? Magistrate Court of blank county. If you're in Cobb, it's going to be of Cobb County. If it's in Whitfield County, where I'm from, Dalton, Georgia, go Catamounts, then you file a lawsuit in Whitfield County. If it's in Gwinnett, it's Gwinnett County Magistrate Court, okay? But you do have to put in some stuff. And by the way, I mean, this is super lawyerly here. This document is like above and beyond. I have seen complaints where people said, he stole from me $5,000 and I want it back. Period. That's a complaint. That's sufficient. You have his name, you have his address, and you've written your statement and you've handed it to the clerk. The clerk stamps it. Now it's filed, and the clerk is going to ask you a question. Would you like us to serve him using our sheriff, right? You're going to say, yeah, okay. And then the sheriff goes and serves him, and they have 30 days to respond, right? We're doing things a little bit more professionally, right? We're actually writing it out in this statement of claim. And what we're saying is, look, plaintiff, the person that's filing a lawsuit, is submitting to the jurisdiction of the court, right? Even though you may be located elsewhere, you're submitting to the jurisdiction of the court. We want to sue here. You have to sue there if that's where the defendant resides. If the defendant is a Georgia resident, you must sue where the defendant resides, okay? If it's out of state defendant, then you can sue where the wreck took place, all right? That's going to be another statement of claim that we can talk about. But let's just talk about where the defendant resides in Georgia. You must actually sue where the defendant resides, the county in which the defendant resides. And basically you just say, what happened? The wreck took place on March 5th, 2015. I was injured. I got these medical bills. Here are the medical bills, pain, and I would like a judgment in my favor for the bills and the pain. You don't have to put a number in the complaint, by the way. All right? You sign it, boom. You get it sworn by a notary, and that's it. That's your statement of claim. I said a lot of stuff, but it really isn't that complicated. You can actually go into the clerk and say, ma'am or sir, where can I file a small claims court case? And they're like, oh, the documentation is right there. And in every court, there's blank forms. You can go there, you can write the defendant's name, you can write their address, you can say car accident, I don't like that word, remember, but car wreck and medical bills plus pain. And then they actually do have a place where you have to put a number on their forms. You don't really have to put a number. But anyway, go ahead and put $15,000 plus court costs. Okay, $15,000 plus court costs. And then your suit is filed, but it really starts ticking once the defendant is served, once the person gets the actual complaint in their hands. All right, that's what the 30 days starts ticking. And you should probably have a court date in a matter of months. It's not state court or superior court where you're not going to have a court date for years. That's another one of the advantages of magistrate court is you can have a trial within a matter of months. Okay? So when you file your case, that's just when the clerk stamps it and it's filed. But really nothing happens with it unless it's served. Okay? So you can request the sheriff, the court's sheriff, to do the service for you. It usually costs $60, okay, for the deputy to serve your complaint. And by and large, that is fine to do. Now, as a law office, we almost always use a private process server because we have big cases. We handle these big cases. And our process server actually wears a body camera. And the body camera captures audio, video, and photos to know that person got it. And y'all can't, say some BS that y'all didn't get it. Okay, you don't get that level of service with a sheriff, okay, but you really don't need it in a small claims type situation. A process server costs hundreds of dollars instead of the $60. So you can get a private process server, no problem. Is it really necessary? No. And if, God forbid, the sheriff is not able to serve because they can't find the defendant or for whatever reason, you've just lost $60. Right? You can then get a private process server if you need to. So it's just not worth it to just go ahead and get a private process server from the very beginning. So people ask this question all the time, but I'm like, I don't want to sue the individual. I don't want to sue the guy, like the person that hit me. Isn't it the insurance company's fault? You're not wrong. It is the insurance company's fault. And usually the person on the other side is not a bad person. It's a good person that is just not getting the benefit of their bargain with the insurance company. But that's just how the legal structure works. The insurance company then hires an attorney to represent the individual, but you are suing the defendant. Everybody knows that it's really the insurance company that's pulling the strings, but the defendant is the one that's going to actually get a judgment against him or her, but the judgment is then paid by the insurance company who has a contractual obligation to pay the judgment.